So we're going to start on our backs this morning, so if you could find your way there. For those of you who have fascia balls, you're welcome to use them. I know many of you do. I know some of you don't, and it's okay, you don't have to. If you're interested in getting some of these, I do have the link available on my website, sarahvalentine.net, and if you go to online yoga tab, there's a link to buy these, and they're so versatile for our fascia and releasing stress in the body. So for those of you who do have some with you, we're going to start on our backs, and you can place these anywhere along the spine. You can even use two side by side, maybe along the low back. We can put two up by the neck where we can carry tension there sometimes. Just noticing how you'd like to situate yourself to begin our practice together this morning. You can also have a blanket folded underneath your sacrum. You can maybe just rest your head on a blanket. Anything that's going to allow you to drop in comfortably to the moment without minimizing the distractions in our physical body. Once you settle in, just bring your awareness to the breath and take a moment to observe your body breathing. My intention this morning is to play in the elements of earth, air, fire, and water, to address them within the practice and how they exist within us both physically and emotionally, and the interplay of those elements throughout our practice this morning. We'll do a little guided visualization in the end around them as well. So as you settle in and you observe your breath and begin to deepen it, and we're going to take some nice deep full breaths together here. And so on your next inhale, fill up completely. Take a very deep full inhale into the element of the earth, which exists in our bones, our hair, our nails, and that idea of being solid and supported by the earth. And that on the exhale, just a willingness to let go into gravity, into that support. And then the next inhale in, full deep inhale, filling all the way up. Pausing there at the top of that inhale to the element of water. And the element of water exists in our plasma, our saliva, our nasal secretions, sweat, urine, spinal fluid. And that idea of flow and ease. So on the exhale, just release into that idea of flowing with ease. On your next inhale, full breath in, hold at the top of that breath into the element of fire. This is what regulates our body temperature, and the fire element is what helps us in our digestion. And as you breathe or as you exhale out, just releasing into the ability to realize, digest information and realize. The next inhale, nice full deep breath in at the top. Hold for a moment into the element of air. And then the element of air, this is our nervous system and our sensory system, and of course our breath. And on the exhale, we can let go into the feeling of lightness that air gives us. And from here, the next inhale, deeply breathe into all of those elements. Understand that all of those elements exist within us in various forms and also amounts. Right? And then just exhale and release into whatever's showing up for you today. Just relax into this moment. One of the elements may have spoke to you more than the other. And just observe what came up for you here. Let the breath flow organically or on its own. And just notice what came up for you here as we connect into the elements of our body, and we can then understand all those elements and how they play on the planet, and how the planet and ourselves completely intertwine. And we, just like the elements on the planet vary to seasons and the amount that shows up, they're all four are always there. They all four are within us, and yet each of us contain a little bit more of one or two of them than the others. That's what determines our dosha and Ayurveda. Just breathing into that idea. Just feel into this. And whatever you're discovering about who's on the mat today, breathe. Each inhale is an opportunity to breathe into compassion for self, and the exhale, an opportunity to let go of any judgments of anything being better than or right or wrong. Breathing into acceptance and release on the exhale into deeply relaxing into what is. If you're using the fascia balls or any props, let's remove them at this time. We're going to stay on our backs. And from here, we'll just start some of our gentle warm-ups by drawing the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little hug. And a gentle stretch in the low back and the sacrum. And we hug our knees in close. Let's let the breath out completely. Empty out. And then inhale, knees arm lengths away. So the hands are on the knees. Apanasana. Exhale, hug the knees in. Inhale, arm lengths away. So notice the element of the earth as we are lying supine on our backs, and the support of the earth, gravity. We're connecting in with the element of air through our breath and this movement. And the movement is a nice, gentle flow, just like a river of water that just follows its path. It doesn't fight anything, it just flows with ease, it knows where to go. We'll move into the element of fire a little bit into the practice. And so from here, you might take this into knee circles. Circling around the sacrum and the low back. Notice your skeletal structure, the flexibility it has through the joints. That's that element of water. Noticing if there's stiffness, then the element of air is starting to come in. And so through this movement, we're tapping into more of a flow or fluidity in the joints. You might take the knees and circle them wide and around, circling through the hip joints, inner outer thighs. And continuing to also notice the support of the earth beneath us, our whole spine being supported. Breath flowing. And then let's go ahead and bring our feet into the mat. Hip width apart and parallel. You can have the arms a little ways from your side, or you can even keep them on your belly here. Take a few breaths into the belly, allowing it to rise and fall with the breath. And then we'll come into our pelvic tilt. So tucking the tailbone under, we flatten the low back into the earth and reverse that, creating a little spaciousness between the low back and your mat and the earth. Tuck under as a posterior tilt. Reverse that anterior tilt. So we can notice space. We notice the connection into the earth as we flatten our low back, and we connect into that idea of space or spaciousness, lightness, when the low back has moved away from the earth. Continue with a nice steady breath in and out. And then just rocking the pelvis to neutral. And going ahead, interlace the hands or one hand on top of the other, whichever you prefer, behind the right thigh. So we pick the right foot up off the floor. And let's move in and out here. We inhale, we extend the foot towards the ceiling. Gentle stretch to the back of the leg. Exhale, bend. So not only are we discovering what's going on in the back of the leg through the hamstring, maybe even into the calf and behind the knee, but we're also moving into the knee joint and adding that element of water to the joint. After about 4 or 5 times here, the next extension, hold, and then point and flex the foot. And circling the foot around in one direction and another. So now again, inviting that element of water into the ankle. You might even move the toes around. And then come in and hold in this stretch. Press the heel to the ceiling, drawing your toes towards your nose. Notice if the low back is flattened into the floor, so you've really exaggerated a posterior tilt. If you go back into that anterior tilt, feel that space in the low back, and you're going to notice that the stretch deepens a little bit through the hamstrings. So you can move the leg a little farther away from you or bend the knee slightly if that needs to happen, so that we find a moderate stretch here. Breathing into that and allowing the body to be supported in the earth. Let's take one more breath here. And then release that, place that right foot in the floor. You might even extend the leg out along the floor for a moment. Just kind of feel that, shake it out a little bit. And then place the right foot in the floor, interlace your hands behind the left thigh. And then we went 4 or 5 rounds. Inhale, extend, and exhale, bend. So once again, inviting the water element into the knee joint, connecting with our breath and the movement and flow, and at the same time, staying connected into the earth. Inhale, extend, exhale, bend. And then we'll come in and hold in the stretch. Again, notice the pelvic tilt. Create a neutral pelvis. There should be a little space between the low back and the earth. You can, from here, point and flex the foot or circle the ankle. And then moving through the toes and the joints of the toes. And then come into the stretch. So press the heel to the ceiling. Draw your toes towards your nose. Feel that stretch through the Achilles and the calf, back of the knee, the hamstring. Finding a moderate stretch that enables you to breathe with ease. And then slowly begin to bend that knee, extend the leg out along the floor, and maybe shake it out a little bit. Excuse me. And then we'll go ahead and come into our double knee drop. So knees bent, take your feet out as wide as your mat, maybe even wider. Open the arms wide, palms up. And on an exhale, release the knees to one side. Inhale, open wide. As you exhale and release the knees to the other side. So the inhale, we open wide. The exhale, the knees release into a twist. As we move and we flow, we're engaging with the water element and at the same time staying connected close to the earth and the air element with the breath. And as you move side to side, if you'd like to allow the knees to move in the opposite direction of the head. So you can rotate your head back and forth to the opposite side the knees go. Incorporating a very gentle twist through the full length of your spine. And when you've gone equally side to side, we'll go ahead and bring the knees back up to center, feet parallel, draw the knees into the chest. Again, a little Apanasana, coordinating with the breath. And then let's go ahead and take a full body stretch. Reach the arms overhead and through the toes. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Take a big inhale here, and then on your exhale, give yourself a great big hug. Wrap the arms around the legs, and if it's comfortable to your neck, bring your head up off the floor, and maybe roll side to side. And then eventually rolling over to one side. Let's find our way to hands and knees. And we'll start with our cat-cow. So anchoring your palms into the earth softly. And then we have our knees directly underneath our hips, hips width apart. And on an exhale, draw the navel to the spine. As you draw the tailbone underneath, rounding the upper back, we bring our upper back upwards towards the sky. And then we soften the heart into the earth as we move into cow pose or gentle back bend, tailbone up. Exhale. Press down to the knees and the hands into the earth, and then soften the heart towards the earth as we lift the gaze and lift the tailbone. And so take a few moments here in the simplicity of cat-cow to find your own understanding or sensations in the body of these elements. Just noticing the skeletal structure, the flow of your breath. Maybe noticing that we're starting to warm up in the body, creating or tapping into the element of fire. And then that movement of water. And increasing the element of water a little bit would mean we start to shift or circle through the hips and find a little more creativity in our flow, allowing things to move a little bit more organically throughout the spine. The breath continues to stay steady. And we eventually find our way back to center as we exhale into a child's pose. Just take 3 breaths here on this first child's pose, feeling the stretch through the back body. Let the arms relax a little bit. Head is resting on the earth, your forehead on the earth. Then take a couple of deep breaths into the back body. And your next inhale brings you up. The lightness of breathing in lifts us up to all fours. Curl the toes under. And let's find our first down dog this morning. You might bend the knees significantly on this first one, taking the tailbone up into the sky. And just then from there, begin to just walk it out. Pedal the heels, bend the knees, shift through the hips. Just moving through the spine. Tapping into that idea of water through the body. So we're really incorporating almost every joint here. And then eventually we find our way back down to our knees and into a child's pose, draw back. 3 breaths in child's pose. Deep, even breathing into the back body. And surrendering. Your next inhale will lift you back to hands and knees. Curl the toes under. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Inhale back to your knees. And exhale into child's pose. Just slowly move through our mini flow here. We're beginning to tap a little bit more into the element of fire, starting to create some warmth slowly in the body. We're staying fairly close to the earth still, so connected into that stability and sense of solidness or groundedness. Flowing with our breath, and can you experience a sense of lightness as we connect into the element of air, moving from pose to pose. And then of course the flow, the element of water. Several more rounds here, just moving with your breath. Inhaling each time you come to hands and knees. And alternately exhale between down dog and child's pose. And for those of you who have it available in your practice to come forward with the heart, feel free, engage the core, start to pull the heart forward of the hands when you come up from a child's pose. And then there we would curl the toes under and exhale into down dog. So it's just an option. If you want to add that in there, you can, or stay with hands and knees and child's. Next time you find your way into down dog, let's go ahead and pause there. Just finding your way into the pose. Press both hands into the earth, your feet into the earth. Spine is lengthening and lifting. So we're rooting down as the tailbone reaches up. A play of opposites. And then from here, we're going to walk our feet to our hands. Find your way to the front of your mat. Into a standing forward fold. You can bend the knees if you need to find ease in the stretch that you're experiencing in the back of the legs. Uttanasana, forward fold, just hang out for a moment, the spine, drape over the thighs. If you have a block, you're welcome to use a block for the hands to come to. You can come onto the fingertips if you need to or want to. Let the head relax. Circle it around yes and no, one direction and another. Take 2 more deep breaths here. With your next inhale, we bring our hands to our hips, bend the knees quite generously, lengthen the spine, engage the core, and let's find our way up to standing. So you should be at the front of your mat, just so I'm still on the camera. I'm not at the front of my mat, but you want to be there. And we're going to go through Surya Namaskar, or sun salutations. We're going to do the first round. We're really just going to take our time through it and play kind of along the way, and then we'll find our flow with it. So right here in Tadasana, arms by your side, take a few breaths right here. Breathe into your heart, breathe into the moment, and breathe into those elements that you're experiencing within and around you. On your next inhale, allow the arms to float up overhead. Bring the palms together and exhale down through center. Fold forward. Hands to your shins. Let's inhale halfway. So find a nice long spine. Your core is engaged. Shoulder blades onto the back body. Chin slightly tucked so you lengthen the back of the neck. So here we're really working on the strength of the back body. And then on your next exhale, fold forward. Walk both feet back, so you're going to find plank pose. Okay, now, plank pose is stronger than you'd like to be this morning. Just go ahead and lower the knees to the floor. Either way is fine. Take a couple of breaths into whatever pose you're choosing. Feel the skeleton supporting you here. Feel the strength of the bones supporting you here. And then the pressure or the connection through the hands into the earth. And draw that nourishment up into your bones. On your exhale, you can either release into a child's pose or bend the elbows lower to the heart, all the way down into the belly. And from here, draw the elbows to your side body without pressing into the hands. We're going to leave the hands are just softly floating right on the mat. We're going to lift from the upper back. Shoulders stay down away from the ears. Breath is steady. Engage the core, so there's a slight tucking of the low back. And just really breathing into the front body in the earth here. And then the upper back strength. We'll curl our toes under. For those of you in child's pose, you're going to come to hands and knees. And those of us on our belly, we'll exhale into down dog. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and bring your feet to your hands. You're going to come up to the front of your mat. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale halfway. And exhale, fold. And then inhale, reaching up. Gaze up. And bring it all into the heart, exhale. Pause here. So that was just one salutation A. We're going to flow through this now. So remember your options of either going back into a child's pose or coming to the belly through chaturanga and up to just a baby cobra or inchworm into baby cobra. Right? So those are your options there. Let's inhale, reach up. Gaze up, and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway, and exhale, release. Walk both feet back, find your way into plank pose. From here, you're going to exhale into child or to your belly. If you're in child's, inhale to hands and knees. From the belly, we inhale baby cobra. And then we all exhale into down dog. Pause here for a couple breaths. And on your next exhale, bring the hands to your feet, to the front of your mat. Inhale halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale into the heart. So see if you're beginning to notice a little warmth in the body as we connect into the element of fire more and more here through the practice. And then I'm just going to invite you to tap into those elements in this next flow. Just noticing the water element as we're flowing, the air element as we're breathing, and if that doesn't help you with a little lightness as we move through the practice. and the connection into the earth through our skeleton as it supports us through these movements. Okay, so again, sun salutation A, inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, release. Walk both feet back, coming into plank pose. Inhale. Exhale to the belly or child's pose. From the belly, you'll inhale to baby cobra. And from child's pose, we'll inhale back to hands and knees. Curl the toes under. We all come into down dog. Exhale. Pause here for 2 breaths. And then on your next exhale, feet walk up to the hands, the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale into the heart. And again, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, release. Walk both feet back, plank pose. And exhale either to the belly or child's. Inhale, baby cobra, or to hands and knees if you're in child's. Exhale, down dog. Pause for 2 breaths. Your exhale brings the feet to the hands, to the front of your mat. And inhale, halfway. And exhale, release. Fold forward. Inhale to standing. Palms together. Exhale to the heart. Again, just begin to feel the heat, the fire developing in the body. Connecting into tapas, a sense of cleansing, right? To put effort and work into our practice is also as beneficial as the restorative and the restful places. Let's go through one more round, one more sensation. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Really experiencing all 4 of the elements here. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plank. And exhale to the belly or to child's pose. Inhale, baby cobra or back to the hands and knees. Exhale, down dog. Pause for a couple of breaths. And on your exhale, hands or the feet walk to the hands, to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. And exhale into the heart. Release the hands by your side, so we're in Tadasana. Just let everything relax. Still feel the earth connecting in through the feet, all the way up through the skeleton. The breath is flowing with ease. Our joints are beginning to feel maybe a little more ease or less stiffness, a little more of that water element. And we're going to work our way to some poses, staying a little closer into the earth. Actually, before we do that, I'd like to do some standing poses. So from the front of your mat, we're going to go ahead and step the right foot all the way back for a warrior two. We're going to actually, warrior two. So we're going to turn the right toes out. Left toes are at the front of your mat. We step back with our right foot. We're going to bend into that front knee, keeping that knee over the ankle, not allowing it to come over the toes, please. Take a wider stance if that happens. And then from here, as we bend into that knee, the spine stays tall. We're just dropping down, our tailbone down to the earth. Our spine stays erect, though. And the arms float up shoulder height. You're reaching, your gaze is out towards the left fingertips. And we're breathing. So we're tapping into strength, right? The element of fire, to be in this pose, to hold in this pose. Drawing nourishment up from the earth to support us through the skeleton, through the bones. And the breath is creating the balance we seek between the effort and the ease. On your next exhale, begin to lengthen through the left side body as you lightly rest your left forearm on your thigh. And the right arm reaches up and over, bicep to the ear. The core stays engaged, the spine stays elongated. Check out that left knee. Make sure it's staying over the ankle, not dropping in, just to protect it. And rotate your gaze up underneath the right arm to the ceiling. And breathing here, an extended side angle. Continuing to feel that buildup of heat. Use the breath to balance that out. Take 2 more breaths here. Your inhale is going to reach the right fingertips to the ceiling as you begin to straighten the front leg, bringing yourself back upright, and then step that right foot to the front of your mat. Left foot steps all the way back. Nice wide stance. Okay. So as you bend into the right knee, it stays tracking over the ankle. Left foot now is behind us, all 4 points of the back of the left foot. Spine is tall, so we want to make sure we're not leaning into this pose. It stays upright. Now we've gotten into the foundation. We've connected into the element of the earth and that strength. Draw that up through the skeletal, through the bones. And then with the breath, the arms float up shoulder height. The gaze is out to the right fingertips. And breathe. Just experiencing the elements in our practice this morning. And on your next exhale, begin to softly find your way into extended side angle. So the right forearm lightly rests on the thighs. It's not weighted heavily there. Left arm comes up and over. Rotate the gaze up underneath the left arm to the ceiling. Core is engaged. Spine is long. And breath is flowing. Feel the fire. Feel the earth. Feel your breath. Let's take 2 more breaths here. The inhale is going to bring you back up to standing as you step the left foot forward. Come back into Tadasana, either hands at your heart or by your side. And take a few deep breaths here. Feel the practice so far. Good. So we're going to now move our way closer back down into the earth. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. We're going to do so with our breath. So with the element of air and water. Exhale, float forward. Inhale, halfway. And exhale, release. Go ahead and come back into plank pose. Lower to the knees. And just find your way into a child's pose for a moment before we come into the next part of the practice. So draw back, breathe into the back body, and just feel the practice so far. Okay, so we're going to continue to here from the belly, or stay low to the earth here for a moment. We're going to come into forearm plank. Okay, there's options here for those of you who don't want to find full forearm plank. You can have, the farther back the knees are behind you, the more challenging this is. It's about core strength. Okay, so we're drawing the navel to the spine. And the closer the knees are to you, of course, the easier it is. Okay? So you can find modifications here with the knees in the floor. Or full forearm plank, curl the toes under, bring the knees off the floor. Body's parallel with it. Right? So we're really hunkering into the earth, using our breath, creating a lot of fire. And then from here, lower the knees to the floor behind you. Start to bring the hips into the floor. We're finding Sphinx pose. So we want to find the elbows underneath the shoulders. So the upper arms are perpendicular to the floor. Shoulders away from the ears, right? They're not hunching into the ears, but away. And then open the heart so that we're drawing the shoulder blades onto the back body. Engage the navel, or draw the navel towards the spine. So you're moving that away from the earth with a slight tucking of the tailbone. And just breathe here in Sphinx pose. An opening of the heart, connection with the earth, our heart into the earth. stability, groundedness, strength, solidity. And then we're going to go ahead and lower all the way down with the heart, and you can rest your head on your hands if you choose. You can also simply rest your head to one side. It's up to you. Bend the knees, and then sway the knees side to side. It's a nice little release on the low back and the sacrum. You can also crisscross the feet. And then we're going to go ahead and extend the legs out along the floor. Bring your forehead into your mat with your arms by your side, palms up. We're going to draw the shoulders away from the floor. Hug the upper back. Press into the tops of the feet. You'll feel the kneecaps move away from the floor. Engage your core, so the tailbone tucks slightly. And then we lift from the upper back. The head stays neutral. You're looking straight down, maybe only a few inches in front of you. Keep that core strong. Then maybe the arms start to come up off the floor. Palms face one another, thumbs down. Upper body strength, or upper back strength rather, back body strength. And then from there, you can also bring the feet up off the floor, if that's in your practice today, or leave the toenails in the floor. Breathe with the earth. Two more breaths here. And then we're going to go ahead and release that down. Once again, your head can turn to one side, or you can rest it on your hands. Bend the knees, and sway the feet side to side or crisscross. And place the palms underneath the shoulders. Engage with your core. Curl the toes under and press up to hands and knees. Find your way into a little cat-cow here. So exhaling, round the spine, and reverse that. And then on an exhale, draw back into a child's pose. Pausing here once again, just breathing. Feel the practice so far. Maybe experience the elements within you and what that means to you off the mat. Let's go ahead and come on up, and we're going to find our way into a seated position. Extending the legs out in front of us. So if you have a strap or even a belt, you have the option to use that here. If you don't have one, it's okay, you don't have to. If you do have one, we're just going to bring it around the balls of our feet. Feet and legs are anchored together. sit bones into the earth. But what's nice about using a strap is that as I hold either end of the strap, I can pull my spine longer, right? I pull my feet towards me, and it creates a little bit more of an ease in my back. So it's not having to support itself so much as I'm helping it with the strap. So it is really nice to have. And so some of you, depending on your flexibility or range of motion here, and the hamstrings in particular, you might already feel a stretch right here. If it's really intense and you have those fascia balls, these are another nice way to use them, is you can place them right underneath your knees, right? So it just creates a gentle bend in the knee, and it eases that stretch. Right, so it's a really nice way to use them. And then from here, for those who have this in your practice or available to you today, we're going to go ahead and begin to pull the heart forward towards the toes and just stretching through the back of the legs. Feet are flexed, shoulders away from the ears, onto the back body, heart open. As we draw the nose to the toes, we're keeping the spine extended. The breath is flowing. And we're dropping into a nice forward fold stretch here. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. And if you have enough range of motion, you might be able to release the strap, bringing your peace fingers to your big toes. Pause and breathe. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Your inhale will bring you back upright. If you were using a strap, just move it off to the side. And bend the right knee. The foot can stay to the inner thigh. Or you can bring that right foot up and over to the outer edge of the left thigh. Do the best you can, keeping the spine tall. We're going to wrap the left elbow around the right knee and bring your right hand behind you. That pressing into that right hand enables you to assist the spine a little bit more. The left leg is active, the foot is flexed. And we're going to move in and out of a twist here. So your exhale brings you into the twist, and I want you to allow your pelvis to shift back with you. And then the whole gaze moves out that back shoulder. And the inhale, we turn and face front again. We exhale, we move into the twist, heart open, shoulders down away from the ears. And then the inhale, come forward again. And third round, exhale, come into the twist and pause. Breathe into this variation of a seated twist. Bringing out the spine, bringing out toxins. The twists are also stimulating for our digestive system, which is the element of fire. And then slowly release out of that twist. And extend the right leg out along the floor. Shake that out a little bit. I'm going to turn around so I'm still on the camera. So now we'll bend the left knee. That foot can stay to the inner thigh or up and over. Right leg is active, the foot is flexed. Right elbow around the left knee, left hand behind you. You can press into the left hand to lengthen the spine a bit more. And we're going to move in and out 3 times. So on the exhale, we move into the twist. We bring that left hip back with us. And we inhale forward again. Exhale into the twist. And inhale forward. And this time we'll come into the twist and hold. Steady breathing, stimulating our digestion. And as we're closer to the earth, we're also in the earth element here. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And we'll slowly unwind. Shake that out. And then again, let's go ahead and now come back onto our backs where we started. So roll onto your backs. And then we'll draw the knees into the chest once again. A little Apanasana. Inhale, arm lengths away, and exhale towards you. Now we use these same warm-ups or same poses we used as warm-ups for releases before we find Shavasana. You can come into knee circles. Maybe knees wide. And then we'll bring our feet into the floor. Parallel hip width apart. And come into our hip hikers or sliders. So sliding the hip bones up towards the shoulders. Tailbone stays in the earth or sacrum. And then we'll move into hip pointers, pointing one hip up to the ceiling and then the other. These movements are meant to be small and mindful. Gentle releases for the low back and sacrum at the end of the practice. These are also nice to do at the beginning of a practice. You can even do them when you first wake up in the morning before getting out of bed. And we can just alternate between these two. Do a few hip sliders, and then move into a few hip pointers and just kind of go back and forth for a moment with them. And then if there's anything else that you would like to do here before finding Shavasana, just take a moment. Any movement that would feel nice to you to complete your practice. And when you're ready, you'll find your way into Shavasana, legs extended out along the floor. You might want to use a support or blanket underneath your head. You can also roll the blanket underneath your knees. I'm going to be taking you this morning into Shavasana with a kind of a guided visualization of the elements. So making yourself as comfortable as possible. In Shavasana, we give ourselves this time to integrate the practice, receive its gifts, and bring them with us into our day. Once you're settled into Shavasana, just notice your breath. Observe the body breathing. Without necessarily shaping the breath in any way or controlling it, we're observing the element of air move through us and around us. So air exists in our nervous system and our senses, our sensory impulses, and our breath. And we can notice space in our mouth or in our ears, in our nostrils. And this idea of air and spaciousness is the movement of thoughts and ideas. So to not get stuck on any one thing, allowing thoughts and ideas to move lightly through us. Take a moment here in the element of air and just feel that for yourself. Noticing what the element of air means to you as you move about your day or out in the earth, with the earth. The air we breathe from the plants, providing that oxygen. element of fire. Ayurvedically speaking, the element of fire is our digestion and our body temperature. So when our fire is burning nicely, we can digest our food more easily. When it's dampened or it's inflamed, we notice issues like acid reflux or gas, bloating. And our digestion is affected by the element of fire. It's not only about digesting our food, but digesting our experiences in life. The willingness to take in and digest and absorb, assimilate what's happening in life, to understand, to comprehend. And literally the element of fire in the earth, having a fire, the warmth of summer, the sun. And we can see the imbalances with the forest fires in the summer, or global warming. Just tapping into and noticing the element of fire within and around you. Tap into the element of water. And remember the body being mostly of water. It's our saliva, it's our nasal secretions, it's our sweat and tears, spinal fluid, our plasma. The fluidity we may or may not feel in our joints. If there's aging or too much fire, we begin to have a little too much air, and that's when that stiffness comes in. And water in the mind is the element of compassion, faith, love, devotion, flowing with things a little bit more rather than resisting. And as we connect into the element of water on the earth, of course, the lakes, rivers, oceans, the rain, the seasons in which there's more water and less water. And the element of earth. The element of earth through our skeletal system, our bones, our teeth, our nails. The idea of being grounded, to feel stable, physically and emotionally. The earth element is responsible for our feelings. And then moving into bringing this idea of the earth element outward, we notice the nourishment from the dirt. The solidness of this planet, the stability that she's been here for us unconditionally. And as we take a few more moments here in Shavasana, just breathing into those elements within you. And then breathing in those elements with the earth. And just feel all of that at once. And just notice what this experience is for you. There's no right or wrong way. You don't have to fix anything. Just be in the experience of breathing and feeling all these elements within you and in the earth. Just take a few deep breaths. Begin to create some movement, wiggle some fingers and toes. Eventually rolling to one side. And coming to a seated position, bringing your palms together to your hearts. A slight bow of the head, honoring the goodness within and the choice you made to be here for you. And may you carry all this goodness out into the world today and those you interact with. I thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher this morning. Namaste.